feel free to recite with me. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dhalati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagara Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagara Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dhinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpadrubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, today we have Bhagavad-gītā 2.22, chapter 2, this text 22. I've already put the link to the chapter and the page that we'll be discussing today in the chat, so feel free to open up the link or even open up the page in the book if you have the physical book. So today's shlok that we will be going over is this one, and how it is recited is, feel free to recite it with me. Vasam sujirnani yatha vihaya navani gunati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya janani anyani samyati navani dehi. Vasamsi, garments, janani, old and worn out, yatha, just as, vihaya, giving up, navani, new garments, granati, does accept, nara, a man, aparani, others, tatha, in the same way, sharirani, bodies, vihaya, giving up, jarnani, old and useless, anyani, different, samyati, verily accepts, navani, new sets, dehi, the embodied. And the translations and purport is provided by His Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. All glories to him. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And the translation of this shlok that we'll be going over today is, as a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. So what this means, actually I would like to involve people from the audience, so could I please get someone to volunteer and read the very first paragraph of the purport, please? Anyone would like to volunteer? Otherwise I'm going to pick names. Yes, please go ahead, Leslie. Leslie Prabhuji, sir. Thank you, Babuji. So, what we just read is that people who don't understand that we go through an evolution when we are growing. So there's also people who don't believe in the existence of the soul. So at the same time, they cannot explain that the source of energy comes from the heart. And there are people out there, like for example, they'll try to inject their son's blood, for example, because it's younger blood, into an older person's body, like to try to preserve their youthfulness. And they don't understand that that's not a permanent solution. They are going to become old no matter what they do, and they are going to they have a point in their life that is going to come where they might not exist anymore. Their body might not exist anymore. So we have to understand that our body will go through continuous changes, and when we're old and gray, at some point our body we will go through a change where we will go to another body. And we've already obviously gone through this with Chaitanya Prabhuji. Thank you Leslie Prabhuji for reading that. Could I please ask Srijita Mataji to read the next paragraph? Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Srijita Mataji. So what we are understanding in this section is because Krishna wants us to be able to, it's actually Krishna's will. That's what we're trying to say, that we are able to change bodies. That's what he wants, and that's what we go through. The super soul, it fulfills the desires of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. He knows that what we want at the end of the day, so he fulfills our desires. The Vedas, they compare the soul and the super soul to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. So what this means is that this is just like that analogy of the atomic, not atomic, but the flame, and Krishna is the flame, and we are the little sparks that are coming out of it. We're related to each other. We're not the same, but we do originate from him. So we do have parts of him in us. We do have him inside of us. So this is really important to understand. And then in this analogy, one of the birds, she is eating the fruit of the tree, and like for example, an apple, and another bird, Krishna, is simply watching his friend or the other bird. They're the same in quality, but not really the same. And then, although in this example of the Mahabharata, Krishna is the witnessing bird and Arjuna is the eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master and the other is the servant. So we have to understand that if we forget this, it's not because of the atomic soul. It's actually because we are just changing bodies. The Jeev, the soul, is struggling very hard on the material body of the tree, like that comes from the tree, which is like he's just taking fruit from the tree and is meeting his needs. But as soon as he agrees to accept that the other bird is the supreme spiritual master, as we are supposed to do, the subordinate bird, which is the servant-like bird, becomes free from all lamentations. And what that means is that we become free in terms of not being weighed down by material desires, by what Maya presents to us when we are enveloped in its trap, basically. So what the Upanishads confirm is that although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. So it's because we become reliant on what the tree is offering. That's how we are the servant. And then we have to look to the supreme spiritual master, which is Sri Krishna himself. And once we realize him, that's when we become free from all of our anxieties that we feel. We don't become reliant on the material desires or that we have. So that is what this section is going over. And then we have Monika Mataji. Would you please read the last paragraph? Hare Krishna. No, sorry. Mataji, you have to read the last paragraph. It's okay. Thank you, Mataji. So, this is when Arjuna is on the battlefield with Shri Krishna, and he's wondering if I should be killing my family members, which is his old grandfather, his teacher, his cousins, and everyone. and then he's having this internal conflict. In this situation here, he's told by Sri Krishna if he should not be he should be happy to kill their bodies because they may be cleansed at once from all their reactions from various activities that they have done throughout their life. So because it's about being free from the anxieties, and it's about being free from the it's called the Maya, the trap that Maya presents to us, that you have these material relationships, and then in order to in order to be sacrificed, one who lays down his life on the sacrificial altar or in the proper battlefield is at once cleansed of bodily reactions and promoted to a higher status of life. So there was no cause for Arjuna's lamentation. And that's one of the reasons why we should not be, for example, sad when someone passes away. It's because we know where they're going, we know who's taking care of them, and we know that they're going to be promoted to a higher status of life. So we should not be sad, or if not just at the time of death, but if anything sad happens within our life, we should be reminding each other and ourselves that there's no reason for us to be sad for whatever has happened. Life is going to keep on going, and we should just have faith in Lord Sri Krishna. So that was what we read today on here, but I will be going over what Srila Prabhupada has went through in his lecture when he gave the lecture on this exact shlok. So I would like to go over that he decided to start off with how we should not be identifying ourselves as Canadian, Indian, even just as our caste or our occupation that we do. It just refers to us as being falsely identifying ourselves with who we are as our body. These body labels that we put on ourselves, that's not who we are. We're the soul. So because the entire world, especially today, operates on this on who we are on the outside, it makes gaining real knowledge absolutely impossible. So because the leaders themselves, like let's say like our governmental leaders, or our spiritual, not our spiritual leaders, but the ones that lead us in society, they're so reliant on attracting people based off of who they are on the outside, not on who they are on the inside. So that is absolutely wrong, and it promotes ignorance in a way. So because this is where civilization is heading, we must stop, and we must stop to think that who we are, we're the soul, and we need to understand that that life here is an illusion. It means that we're just here for a short time, and then the next time we'll probably be here will probably not even look like this. It means that we should accept that we're just ourselves, but with different clothes on. So since all the foundation is being created right now is wrong, all of our conclusions built upon it is also wrong. We need to understand that the soul is indestructible, and we need to understand that if the soul cannot be killed, then who we are on the inside, it can never be destroyed. This does not mean that killing is encouraged. It actually means that violence is still prohibited. Just needed to make sure that that's what I'm saying. And that's also what Srila Prabhupada also decided to make clear as well. We need to be understanding ourselves from who we are on the inside and operating from a place of love. Material senses are unreliable sources of knowledge. That's because, for example, our eyes, they see what they see. Our ears, they hear whatever we're around, right? Our material senses are extremely limited and conditional. It depends. For example, if you are ever involved in, let's say, like you're a witness to a crime, and you think that you remember that this is what the person that was committing the crime was wearing, they might not actually be wearing that. We think that is our brain trying to make conclusions out of something that might not have actually happened, and that has been proven. So we need to understand that our physical senses are very limited and conditional. So pride in seeing you for yourself because of who you are on the outside it's actually saying that your perception is very flawed and limited. Our true vision is called Shastra Chakshush. It means that we need to be seeing through revealed knowledge. It's through reading scriptures, through understanding and praying to the Lord. We need to understand that we need to be surrendering ourselves, and so that we can start to uncover ourselves from the trap that Maya presents to us ever since we're born here. Our shastras are actually infallible knowledge. They're not really human written theories. They're written by perfected souls. Actually, our perfect knowledge, it comes from a perfect source. It comes from Sri Krishna. So it comes from Vedic knowledge that he's presented to us, and it's not really written by any ordinary human. So we need to understand that. We need to and a cool example actually that Srila Prabhupada has presented to us in one of his lectures is that cow dung is actually declared pure in the Vedas, despite it being any sort of the remains, not the remains, but the stool of an animal. And usually, because we're humans, we don't really think that that's like really pure at all. That even though our logic cannot perceive that, how can this be pure? It's because that in our Vedic knowledge is accurate, and when it defies the ordinary reasoning, that's because we should be understanding our shastras very clearly. We should understand why they are saying what they are and see them for what they are. Is, for example, they say that when you go to, let's say, Vrindavan, right, you should be seeing the world there not as it is, but through your spiritual senses. You should be seeing, like, for example, you might see there's lots of trash on the road and everything, and you might not have a great experience. But if you look beyond that, if you see the little details of Vrindavan through Sri Krishna and Radharani's eyes, you will see Vrindavan in a very different way. As what I have, I will get to questions after. Sorry. But what I'm trying to explain is that I've never been to Vrindavan, but this is what I've heard by some devotees. So I think we should also focus on that. So okay, so going back to the Srila Prabhupada's lecture, he's focusing on Sri Krishna saying that Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakto, that think of me, worship me. So because we need to be understanding that if we surrender to him, our anxieties will no longer be valid to us. You know, that's why we must read the Bhagavad-gītā, and I'm so glad that all of you choose to show up here to these classes, and we're learning together. We must learn it through Srila Prabhupada's eyes, because that's how it has been presented as it is, and that is how it is. They say that Sri Krishna spoke to Srila Prabhupada himself while he was writing the Bhagavad-gītā. So we should, the book, the one that we're reading, it is really special in its form, and I'm so happy that all of you decide to show up and we go through it, shlok by shlok. So every person, regardless of your status, you must flatter. It doesn't mean that you should flatter someone, but what I'm trying to say is serve someone, because we're all devotees and we all have we all have Shri Krishna inside of us, inside of our hearts, guiding us, and we must always look for his for what he wants, what he thinks that we should do. We must also seek guidance from a bona fide spiritual master, which we must seek support through our spiritual journeys. We should understand that refusing Krishna while accepting and going after our material desires is irrational, and we should understand that true happiness comes only from accepting Krishna as your supreme master. So, in all, I just want to summarize again. We are the soul, not the body, and because we rely so much on fulfilling our material desires, it makes us feel anxious. So in order for us to be free from those anxieties, we must focus on our relationship with Sri Krishna, and we must cultivate that relationship. We must also serve others, serve devotees. We should have devotees around us that inspire us to be better and to continue to cultivate our relationships with Sri Krishna. And now I will go through any sort of questions that are in the chat. So, okay, we have one question. Why do we forget our true relationship with God? I will do my best to answer this question. If I'm not able to truly answer it, then I will come back to next class with a complete answer for you. But why do we forget our true relationship with God? I think that's because we focus so much on what's around us. We rely so much on our physical senses that we just end up forgetting who is our Supreme Lord. We don't realize that we can surrender to him and have him drive us for the rest of our life. Actually, when I came to ISKCON about a year and a half ago, one of the first things that I heard from a fellow devotee is I was asking her, I don't know what to do with my life, because I was like feeling really lost. And she's like, just rely on him. He's the greatest planner of all. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I can actually surrender. And I felt the connection. So I think that we forget our true relationship with God because we become so enveloped with whatever is going on in front of us that we forget that Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, exists. And we need to be fulfilling or cultivating that relationship with Him so that He can take care of the bigger picture. We're so zeroed in on what's happening right now, and we get so stressed with all of the worries around us, like for example our parents' health, and or our studies, our future, our like how are we going to make money, things like that. That's how we forget our true relationship with God. And we must go back to the 9 devotional practices in order to cultivate our relationship with Sri Krishna. So I hope that answers your question. Please let me know. Feel free to unmute. Yeah, okay, cool. Does anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you all for joining. I'm really grateful. Then we will just end for today's class. Thank you. Vachakalpatriyupescha kripasindhuva evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Haribol, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, he better be. Hare Krishna.